Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Ortega Highway down in Orange County. And this is the Rezvani Beast. Technically the Rezvani Beast Speedster. Rezvani Motors is the company, the Beast is the car, and the Speedster is the trim. Speedster actually means it has no roof and the small engine. And for them, the small engine is a 300 horsepower Honda supercharged K24. And that's because underneath all this carbon fiber, and yes, the body is 100% carbon fiber on this car, as well as most of the interior, underneath it is an Ariel Atom 3. And you can kind of make out the skeleton in the car. You can certainly see it if you lift off the bodywork. It weighs, truck with a brake smoking. It weighs 1,700 pounds. There is no power steering. Look at this. This steering wheel is the lightest steering wheel I've ever felt in my life. All carbon. Pretty cool. Removable. Let's make sure it's on there properly, which it is. Ortega Highway, frankly, not one of my favorite roads because it's very busy, as you can see, but there's just no other place that I could make this work. So here we are. Switch to turn it on. Start button. The Honda fires to life, and here we go. We'll start off by going slow before we go fast. See, the first thing I notice is it really sounds like a Honda, which is fine for an Ariel Atom, but I'm not sure I buy it in a $140,000 car. Nevertheless, 300 horsepower. There's the supercharger, and we're off. The steering, I've never ever driven a car with a steering rack that is this tight. It really is driving like a prototype race car or a formula car. It's actually quite difficult to manage on the street because, I mean, you're moving the wheel millimeters, individual degrees. Shifter, pedals, straight out of the Ariel Atom. There is a semblance of an interior in here. There's a stereo. It's simple. Seats are made of carbon. The gas pedal is very heavy, heavier than the brake pedal, which I've only ever experienced in the Lotus Esprit, strangely enough. Steering is not only a fast rack, but it's not power assisted, and these wheels are wider than the Atom's wheels, so it's very heavy. It's one thing if you're racing at Le Mans, but it's completely another for a primarily street-driven car. I don't know how anybody would want to drive with this steering rack under normal conditions. It's too sensitive, it's too darty, it catches everything. Well, we've already caught some traffic, so I will find a pull-off and we will let it clear so we can go quicker. The only thing you'd really immediately know about the Ariel to this is it says Ariel on the gauges. Oh, here we go. And we're back. The company Rezvani Motors is interesting. They get the Ariel chassis complete from TMI in Virginia, and then there's a 4-person company. They make the bodies all by hand. They do all the upgrades by hand. It takes about 3 months. It's a very pretty car. The styling, I can't remember the name of the designer, frankly, but he comes from Aston Martin and Lamborghini, and you can see a little bit of influence in both of those companies' concept cars in this. Jesus, very darty under braking, no power brakes. It's very much race car on the street, but it's very much like an actual race car on the street, not fulfilling the fantasy of a race car on the street, which is what I prefer, actually. There's a little too much real race car in this. ruts and stuff, and it's just very, very challenging to drive. Not an amateur's car. Believe it or not, they're coming out with a 500 horsepower version of this thing with a Rotrex supercharger as opposed to this Roots type supercharger. That's gonna be like undrivable. This thing, I can't really get comfortable. It makes me nervous. It doesn't give me a warm and fuzzy feeling. Not quite wants me dead, but it's not far off. I feel like I am one stupid mistake away from death. And frankly, I'm not even going that fast, which isn't really a good sign. It does whine really high, 8,000 RPM. You know, it goes pretty good. It's not as fast as an Atom, obviously, because it's got 300 extra pounds, but it gets around. I've caught more trucks, and I'm going to pull off and let the traffic clear. And we're back. Man, it does, the supercharger sounds awesome. Even if it's not a particularly exotic sound, it is a nice one. So where was I? Oh yeah, well, it looks good. The fit and finish is a little bit what I would call to be expected from a low volume car such as this. They're all handmade, and this is only the number 2. They've sold 3 of them. The first one went to Chris Brown. Frankly, I think it's a perfect car for Chris Brown. Open top, women can just escape really fast out the side. You just dive out of it while moving. Oh, I'm getting hit by dump truck stuff. So how is it going slow? Well, look, these movements, like just that much wheel really translates into a lot of change in direction. Strangely enough, even with a rack that quick, the turning radius isn't all that good. But I admire Rezvani, as I flub his name and cough at the same time. I admire Rezvani. I mean, as major manufacturers are adding bloat, adding features, adding, you know, things that not all purebred enthusiasts want in their cars, there are still small volume manufacturers that are willing to go out there and build that pure car. I do think he's gone a little bit too far in the pure department. I gotta pull over. I can't, this is why Ortega stinks, but I can't sit behind a dump truck. We're just gonna wait, do it again. All right, we're back. Unfortunately, it doesn't really seem like traffic is gonna lighten up, so we're just gonna roll with it. So anyway, this thing is cool. It's cool looking. I'm glad someone makes it. It certainly has some neat touches. On the other hand, you know, after driving it, I don't think I personally could justify 140 grand for something with a Honda powertrain. Even if it made 500, 600, 700 horsepower, that's just not a refined or unique enough sound. Plus, you know, when you idle, it buzzes a lot. There's a lot of vibrations. It's not particularly smooth. All right. I've been thinking, and I'm sorry if I've been thinking as opposed to talking, but there's a turning radius. I am glad it exists. I think it's neat. Somebody will like it. I hope Chris Brown likes it. It's not really for me. It's kind of small and kind of buzzy, and it doesn't really inspire confidence. It doesn't necessarily, it is fast, but it doesn't make me want to get out there and drive it fast. And that's kind of what I'm looking for from a sports car. So I need something that will reassure me a little more that I won't die. But it's cool, and thank you to Rezvani for having me out. See you guys next time.